rumor that you are who we have the thing for the double-bladed lightsaber.
Yes, truth.
What is the story behind that?
Facts. Okay. So my apologies to those of you who've been by my booth and already heard this story. I thank you for your indulgence. So I'm in my early 20s, and I get hired to do Star Wars. I can't believe it. Right? What a dream come true. And not only is it a dream come true, but this dream is amplified by the fact that I'm not drawing portraits. I'm not a great portrait artist. I'm self-trained, right? So I can't necessarily draw Mark Hamill or Harrison Ford or Carrie Fisher. It's hard for me. But I don't get that job. George was writing the prequels, and he comes up with a name for the capital of the Republic. And his licensing people are like, hey George, that's named Coruscant. And he's like, what? And they're like, yeah, no, we sold these books, like millions of them, and it's called Coruscant. And he's like, what? Yeah, but this is the movies. They're like, is it though? It's kind of the same galaxy. Maybe we should like keep it consistent.
Yeah, I don't want to upset the fans.
Don't want to upset the fans, right? He's like, fine. But he knew we were making Tales of the Jedi, so he's like, okay, so look, this new Tales of the Jedi thing, I don't want to be chasing a comic book. So you put that story 4,000 years before Luke Skywalker, and I can write and not have to worry about any new things popping up while I'm already having you guys tell me what I have to, deal with lore-wise. And so I asked for reference. I'm like, hey, that's great. Where's the Joe Johnston drawings? Where's the Ralph McQuarrie drawings? Where's the stuff? And licensing's like, we don't do that. We don't make up portfolios for things that, right?
No reference images.
There's no reference images. Yeah. It's all you. So I'm like, are you kidding me right now? You're telling me I have a blank slate in the Star Wars galaxy?
Every fan's dream.
Every fan's dream. I'm like, this is not real. So I go nuts. I watch all the Kurosawa. I read about George Lucas as a young person. I read about the car accident in Modesto, of his time at USC, his time with Francis Coppola. I mean, I get into it, right? And again, Shay pointed out in the previous panel, this was 1992. So there's no internet. So if I want to find the art of The Empire Strikes Back, it's out of print. I have to drive my dad's old Pinto to Beverly Hills, find parking, hope that my Pinto makes it, and pay $100 for a book that's out of print in 1992. And over again, Kurosawa on VHS. There's no internet, so it's a real quest. And I kind of, because I wanted it to be an authentic Star Wars experience. I didn't want to just do an adaptation that was a thin soup, that was not really Star Wars, it was just a story that had Star Wars pasted on the cover. I wanted it to feel like a Star Wars experience, as much as possible. And so that's where all my passion went. And as a result, I figured it out. I'm like, how do I make a Star Wars galaxy look 4,000 years old and at the same time feel like Star Wars? And the answer was, you go to the inspirations that George Lucas had. You go to Alex Raymond, you go to Buster Crabbe, you go to the old Flash Gordon reels, you watch Seven Samurai, you watch Hidden Fortress. And all the other Kurosawa movies too, because George was not ripping off anyone. He was assimilating as we do through inspiration. He was inspired. Those are the kinds of stories he wanted to tell. Those were the dynamics of story turns that he wanted to use. And whether he knew it consciously or instinctively, he didn't necessarily know. I guarantee you, if you said to him, oh, look, that looks like Hidden Fortress, he'd be like, does it? I don't know, I was just making a movie, right? Sometimes we assimilate this stuff and we don't even know we're doing it, right? We're writing music, you don't know what's inspiring you. You're drawing something, you don't necessarily know, but it's there.
Well, it's a bit ironic too, because if you think about everyone who works in the film industry or even the arts industry now, 90% of them will quote Star Wars is the moment they decide they want to be an artist.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like poetry, it rhymes.
Right?
But yeah, continue with your
No, exactly. So that's it, right? I'm like, I got it. For example, in Luke's time, all the lightsabers are similar. They've all become pretty much flashlights. The combat style, the justification is the combat style has become kind of homogenized. All the samurai, the remaining samurai, the Jedi, fight this way, right? They've all been killed off. So any variety there might have been, we never get to see because they've already died.
Right.
However, if you go back 4,000 years, you got all these cultures coming together to form the Republic, and all those cultures are much more vivid. We get to see their clothing. We get to see their lightsabers, which are going to be, if you're force sensitive on a planet that the Republic finally reaches, your lightsaber is going to be very much based on the traditions of your military history. And so I thought, therefore, they wouldn't look like flashlights. You'd have a double-bladed one, you'd have a staff, bows and arrows, and I thought it was super fun. I was gonna put a kyber crystal on the end as an arrowhead, right? Back then it was a Dagon crystal, but they've since become kyber crystals for you super Star Wars nerds out there who isn't in this building.
Yeah, none of us in here.
No, right? No, we don't know Star Wars.
No nerds here.
I never heard of it. And so yeah, so the Dagon crystal would be on the end of would be the arrowhead, and when the Jedi drew it, it would light up and then they would fire. And so I just had all these fun ideas, and I presented them, and they were like, Lucasfilm Licensing was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, this is really cool stuff. It's 4,000 years before Luke Skywalker. It can't be exactly the same. It has to be, the ships have to look different, the clothes have to look different." They were like, "Do they?"
Yeah, because that's eventually streamlined. I get what you're going for.
And I was like, yeah, no, they kind of, there has to be, this is not authentic if it's not. People will be like, okay, 4,000 years, but it looks just like it. And so I insisted, and licensing was like, okay, well, fine. Do a drawing, we'll show it to George. If George likes your double-bladed lightsaber, then you can use it. And I said, that's all I'm asking. If he didn't like it, I would have abided. No one would have ever heard of the double-bladed lightsaber. But he loved it. He loved it. And it was approved on June 3rd, 1993. And if you guys want to come by the booth, as some of you have, please feel free to take a photograph with the drawing. I've got a print of the drawing. George has the original up in Skywalker Ranch, but I've got a print of it because thank goodness I took a Xerox before I sent it to him. And he loved it, and I was able to use it, and it's been a bit of a hit for them.
I love that. So, are there any other of your designs that have like made it into the grand ethos of Star Wars?
Fortunately, when I played, I just heard that Knights of the Old Republic 2 has some stuff from Tales of the Jedi, which is so cool.
Yeah.
And I remember playing KOTOR 1, and I remember there was an Ula Kildroma thing in there. And I was like, what? That's so cool. I'm like, they remember me.
You can also, at one point at one of the, I think it's the store at Korriban, you can actually buy Exar Kun's armor.
Very nice.
It's crazy.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I think, also, didn't Tim Oliphant's character in Mandalorian look a little like Ulick, color-wise? Like look at the color of the red and the blue.
And
And, and that big old, like, kind of hoodie collar he had.
yeah, the kind of a turtleneck, but not quite a turtleneck.
Yeah, he looked a little Ulickish, I thought.
I could totally see
The
that.
hair too, but yeah, if you look at it again, of course I could be biased. Everything, that's me.
George, you understand, these are all my designs.
It's all me. I can call me. But yeah, what was the question again? I think
were there other parts of your designs that made it into the grander Star Wars galaxy?
So the Beasts of Onderon. When I watched Tales of the Jedi, the show, I'm glad they started on Onderon, and that was fun. That they had Beasts of Onderon. You notice something? You guys watch Tales of the Jedi, right? The Beasts of Onderon were way easier to make than what I do, right? They were like, that Chris Gossett guy is crazy. His visual effects budget would be insane. We're not going to do Chris Gossett's Beasts of Onderon. We're going to do like affordable Beasts of Onderon.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but for any other Clone Wars fans out here, did they show up as well at the Onderon arc with Saw Gerrera?
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
Yeah. No,
Yes.
you're not crazy. The whole of the city of Isis was in, I think, season 5.
Perfect. Yes.
Nice.
But it was never mentioned by name.
I highly recommend you check it out. I think they might even use Drexels, if you remember what those are, those big flying bird things you
Yeah. So cool. None of the big flying beasts though of Onderon, right? The big leathery ones?
Yeah, that's what I think they wrote.
Okay.
Have you ever had a chance to play the Star Wars The Old Republic like multiplayer video game? Because they have a whole zone set on Onderon, and because it's close to the time period, there's a lot of your stuff still in there. There's a lot of the character designs or costumes that your character can wear.
Wow. That is so cool.
And you
Thank
can explore the place in 3D. It's pretty cool.
I have got, thank you. I've got which platform?
PC.
Okay.
Star Wars
It's
The Old
like World
Republic.
of Warcraft, but Star Wars.
Oh, right. I love PC games, but as you all know, first of all, a moment of admiration for all the PC gamers, because it's a commitment, right? Cards are changing all the time, systems